which is good for the women. I have the women in attendance too. So a lot of them are overweight, which I can't understand with 50 cents a day. But we give them a lot of bread and a lot of calories. So I figured they have to lose weight. So I had an idea. So let's build a chair. Not an electric chair. We do have the wires hooked up and exercise chair. So we put wires from the chair to the TV. So if they pump, they see TV. Once they stop, the TV goes off. I wish he would call me to the White House. I've been to the White House before. Since I'm an ex-federal guy, Justice Department, and 17 years as the sheriff, I think I'm a little active in the illegal immigration problem. Why can't I go to the White House? Remember the police sergeant, Cambridge, Massachusetts, when he locked up the black professor? He stuck his nose in there. So what did he do? He called them both to the White House to have some beer. You know, he talked about racial profile. Well, they're investigating me for racial profile. Why doesn't he call me to the White House? What good are laws if they are not enforced? I told you about 2 laws that I'm the only one. 2 laws. 40,000 people we have arrested, investigated, or detained in our jail. 40,000. We're the only law enforcement agency in Arizona enforcing those 2 laws. So why have the laws if you don't enforce them? Even the 10-7, if it ever gets through the appellate courts, let's see if they're going to be enforced, if that is ever win that situation. It's a tough situation. But I think the Supreme Court will rule in favor of the Arizona law. I don't know how long that's going to take. I'll probably be dead and buried before it's resolved, but that's okay. We're still doing the thing that we were doing. Nothing changes. I don't care about that new law. We're still locking them up. In fact, the day the law would have taken effect, I sent 200 of my volunteer posse and deputies on a crime suppression operation to go after anybody that violates the law, including the immigration law. And so I'm still doing. We still go into workplaces, hit 39 workplaces to try to tie the employer up with the employee. It's very difficult. The employer law is just a little civil law. But while we're there, we arrest the workers that are in that workplace illegally. And 75% have false identification. Social Security, driver's licenses. So we lock them up. It's a serious offense to have stolen identification. But nobody says, when I do drag them out, I get criticized. Why are you separating families? Why are you locking up dishwashers? They forget that there's illegal identification problems. They don't care about that. If it was 15 redheads I dragged out, I'd probably be a hero for grabbing 15 redheads that have false identification. Once it's illegal, I'm the bad guy. By the newspapers, by the activists, by some politicians, that sheriff is locking up dishwashers, gardeners, I could go on and on. But even if I was, so what? They're here illegally. Once they cross that border, they're criminals. Nobody wants to call them criminals. This all is undocumented. Undocumented. Resident. What the hell, what is undocumented? All the media will never say illegal aliens. Let me spell it for you. Illegal aliens. And if it's illegal, isn't that another, is it illegal different than legal? Why did you put them in pink? Because they were smuggling the white underwear out of the jail, selling it on the black market. I hope they washed it before they sold it. So when you check out, you see the white. They got 3-4 pairs of white underwear, our underwear. I figure if you dye it pink, it has to be ours. Because nobody wears pink underwear. My real reason is they hate me. They may like it in San Francisco, but they don't like it in Maricopa County, I'll tell you that much. So that's a big problem. That's how you come up with ID theft, too. But the reason politicians don't like some of them, like I was trying to say, not you, they don't want to crack down on illegal immigration because, number one, they're afraid that they won't get the Hispanic vote. Number two, they don't want to aggravate the employers from hiring cheap labor. And by the way, I'm very proud of locking up people in the workplace that are there illegally, because I think the president should send me a White House award, because we have 10% unemployment. Every time we lock up an illegal, we're building vacancies for U.S. citizens. Nobody thinks about that. In Iraq, why are we there? For terrorism. Do you think terrorists can't cross that 2,000-mile border? It's easy to get across that border. Terrorists, forget the drugs and everything else. So bring the army over there and work with the Mexican army. I worked with the Mexican army. I used to have thousands of Mexican army when I was on a deal. It's like I was a general. Where's the colonel? I was a general in turning Mexican. So what's wrong with that? I'm not saying to do it unilaterally, bilaterally. You think that would ever happen? Never. But if you really wanted to work together and stop the problem on that side of the fence, you could do it. And why are we interested in going into Mexico just the same way we've been into every country in the world with our agents to stop the international drug traffic? It wasn't to help them, it was to help us to keep the drugs out of our country. So we should go over there to keep the drugs out of our country, the illegal immigration out of our country, and make sure the violence doesn't spread across the border into our country, and use whatever resource we can give the Mexicans to do that. But you know they will never, especially with this administration, never agree to send the army across the border and work together. Never. But if you really want to do it, that's my secret. But it will never be done, I hate to tell you that. Unless I was the president, and I'm not. Anybody think I'm going overboard on this thing? I'm not making sense. Right? So, now I got the feedback.